Hello, and welcome to Cyber Sidekicks, the weekly cybersecurity podcast, hosted by Richmond Advisory Group's principal analysts, namely me, Christina Richmond.
And me, Rory Duncan. This podcast is your go-to partner for understanding the cybersecurity market, industry trends, and the real-world challenges of protecting organizations today. Hello, Christina.
Hey, so are you, Rory? How's it going over in Edinburgh?
Fine, not too bad, thank you. No need for the hair and makeup ritual this morning because we're back to audio for this week. And for those of you who don't know what the heck I'm talking about, it's because we had a very special video episode last week, didn't we?
We did, but it's going to become more commonplace from what I understand. The producer of our podcast, aka Rory, is moving us towards video with me kicking and screaming the whole way because I'm really worried about you, Rory, of course, with you having to do hair and makeup, not me. I mean,
I know.
But it went very well, didn't it? We had a great guest, Paul Mote from Sidekicks, and he was so wonderful to jump in last minute, be the guinea pig video guest.
I know.
I think it was great.
Yeah. And considering that he doesn't really do podcasts and certainly not video podcasts, it went really well. So the full
episode, was just so down to earth, so articulate, calm. It's just lovely. It was really fun. Yeah.
So the full episode is on our YouTube channel, folks, along with a bunch of shorts and reels and various other less than 30-second or less than a minute videos from various events that we've been to. And the link will be in the show notes.
So when you say shorts, I think of all kinds of things, but folks, these are video shorts.
That's right.
And reels. So I'm glad you said reels as well. Yes, let's keep our mind in the video realm.
Yes, it's far too early in the podcast to go way down a rabbit hole.
But we could. We could. We won't. Hey, thanks to the new subscribers to our newsletter. Yeah. And it goes out to, 600 people-ish a week. And nobody really has run screaming from the building. It's pretty quick. And, quick takeaways. You can, sometimes there's an audio clip. Sometimes there are links to our podcast. Other times there's some data from a survey we've done. So check it out if you're not subscribed. And in our latest issue, we're really just talking about the podcast with Paul Mote and the shorts and talking about, what the content was. So I won't ruin it for you by telling you about the content, but go sign up and you'll get the newsletter. It comes out today at 10 a.m. Pacific.
Yes.
Every week.
How can somebody avail themselves of this newsletter, Christina?
Yeah, they just go to our website, Rory. They go to the homepage down at the bottom and there's a sign up for it. And it's free and it's weekly. And some folks put it into their to-read folder automatically so that they can go back through a couple of issues if they like. We get a lot of feedback, like, oh my gosh, I was laughing so much at XYZ. Or, thanks for the survey. I voted to have video on the podcast, and they were one of the 75% who said, yes, once a month, we'd like video. So anyway, lots of different ways you can engage with us, and we'd love to have you sign up.
Yep. So we have another busy show this week, even though we're not on video, back to audio. Lots of things have happened this week. So what have we got on in terms of news, Christina?
Yeah, I will say, Rory, it does feel weird not to be on video.
It does feel strange. I keep looking for the video feed. It is odd. It's like
I think you're right that we're going in that direction, much to my chagrin. But I think it's great, so we'll keep going.
Yeah, I think once the genie is out of the bottle, it's difficult to put it back in again. Or something.
Yeah, or something. Yeah. So big news from Microsoft this week with the launch of new agentic security platform, which it says is specifically engineered to combat AI-based cyber attacks. So we'll talk about that. I have a little bit of I don't know. I have a little bit of a negative feeling about it. Not that I have a negative feeling about the overall idea, but the timing of it and the way it's constructed and whether it's really newsworthy. But we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We've also got a little bit of news about a new survey conducted by EY. Most people will have known them previously as Ernst & Young, but EY, which has revealed what they call a strategy pivot when it comes to AI. They're saying that 98% of senior leaders they surveyed are reconsidering their approach to AI due to escalating token costs and operational expenses. Now,
well, it's about time.
Yeah. Then this isn't it's not a shocker, but at the same time, here is some more surveyed proof that this is happening. We talked about token maxing, and we talked about
tokenomics. There are folks who coined the term tokenomics.
Exactly.
And it's a real thing. And, as we have Elon Musk wanting to put 1 million new satellites in orbit to build data centers in them, this is the madness of tokenomics, because in order to feed the beast of using AI to the extent that we all jumped in and we're using it, you have to build things in space or on Mars or the moon somewhere. So, yeah, kind of crazy. We also are going to talk about some M&A today, and we haven't had a lot of M&A recently. So this one shocked me because it's so huge.
It's a biggie. Now, I know that we've talked about, M&A as one of the more kind of popular things we talk about, and we try to keep up and mention things. But typically this time of year, it goes into summer recess and is a bit small, and we have sort of poo-pooed some previous acquisitions because of their size, given the increasing size of some of the biggest of the acquisitions last year. So what's different about this one, Christina?
Oh my gosh. Well, okay, first of all, we knew them when. So Sierra is acquiring Oasis Security, and we knew Oasis when they were itty-bitty 2 years ago at RSA. We'll talk about that. We had a lovely little meeting with them. The deal is valued at $1 billion. $1 billion. And the founders of Oasis are walking away with hundreds of millions of dollars in their pockets. I mean, really, we got into the wrong business, Rory.
I know.
Just saying.
So we need to move to Israel, create a cybersecurity startup.
Become Israeli. Go through the Israeli military.
Yes, all of the above. Well, and of course, the point behind that, without joking aside, many of these founders have then therefore great contacts in the government sector, clearly, as a result. So it's a kind of a conduit for those relationships. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then this week's guest is Jim LaRoe, who's the CEO at Symphion. So we'll be talking all about printers and AI risk. So that'll be really interesting, and often overlooked area of physical IT.
Before our listeners go, printers, let me just say that in the 20 years of covering security, but also looking at the channel and distribution programs for a broad brush of technologies, printers and security, while anathema to one another, not really working together as well as they should, printers are a huge vulnerability and continue to be so. So I think Jim will have lots to say about that.
Yes, looking forward to that. As to the news, Christina, so the first story, and I know you have thoughts on this, of course, is that Microsoft has announced its launch of its first cybersecurity AI model and a new agentic cybersecurity system. The company describes this new model as a model. It's called MAI Cyber One Flash. It sort of rolls off the tongue. It describes as a model that's built to, quote, find challenging vulnerabilities in complex code bases, which is built to animate MDASH, which is Microsoft's harness dedicated to software vulnerability identification and remediation. So that's the model, but there is now the new security platform, which is dubbed Perception. Good name.
Yeah.
And it's
designed. It is a good name.
It is a good name, and it's designed to deploy teams of agents to assist with and automate various security workflows, including identifying and remediating bugs. And the platform, it says, can also integrate with MDash. So that's the kind of headline. What do you think, Christina? What are your thoughts?
Well, okay. So the platform, I like the idea. So there are red agents, blue agents, green agents. Haven't heard of green in security testing before, but here's what that means. It means that the agents will take corrective action. They will execute patches and actively strengthen enterprise defenses. Red and blue we're used to, purple we're used to. So in a red teaming exercise, you have your blue team, you have a red team, and the purple team is where the blue and the red can work together to kind of teach the defenders, the blue team, how to defend, whilst knowing what the attack is on the red side. So green, I think the green agent idea is a great one. I think the fact that it is integrated with Microsoft Defender is good. So it's workflow native, it integrates and is consumption based in, within the Microsoft universe. I think all of that is great. When you dip into the Reddit threads about it, people are saying this is kind of a Me Too. They had to come out with something after Mythos. There's also a lot of hype around how the agents are going to be fully autonomous, and they're really not going to be fully autonomous for a while, which I agree with. Please don't make them fully autonomous until we've really worked the bugs out. So I agree with Microsoft, but I think the hype around full autonomy and agents, hey, they do everything. They're going to do the simulated attacks, and then they're going to investigate the telemetry and look at the triage data all autonomously, and then they're going to patch and correct and all of that. The hype is a little bit much because we need humans in the loop, and Microsoft has them built in. And humans do have to authorize every major action, especially on sensitive data or environments. So I'm of two minds, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. I feel like people are a little suspicious that it's a Me Too action.
Yeah.
People are a little fatigued by maybe Microsoft not doing some of the customer engagement as well as they'd like them to, or listening to their feedback. And then they come out with this and they're just a little suspicious of it. What do you think?
Yeah, well, certainly suspicion about Microsoft is kind of still very much a thing. I don't think that's going to go away. As a huge stack, architecture, infrastructure, software, a kind of army that it is, you're always going to get suspicion. However, looking at it objectively, they are a little late to the party, right, when it comes to these things. But it also makes sense in as much as if you're, a Microsoft shop or a business partner and you're heavily invested in the architecture, then it's a boon, right? If it works and if it's easily integrated because it's part of the stack and so on, that would make sense. I mean, the details are yet to come out, but if this is going to be perhaps more SMB or SME friendly, that would also suit many of the partners out there as many of the Microsoft customers who are there. So it may well be a kind of channel thing as well, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, and on the flip side, arguing with myself, it's necessary for Microsoft to do this. And even though it might be late to the party, look at Apple's announcement of their AI. It was lauded and praised, even though very late to the party, and it's fine. I'll use the Scottish fine.
Fine.
I'm not wild about the news, but yes, they had to do it. And okay, let's see what it looks like when you really get going with it. Yeah. That's where I'll leave it.
Yeah, no, that's good. For me, it was intriguing to learn about all the different colors of teams. I mean, I knew some of them, but not all of them. I certainly hadn't heard about green teams. If the end result is fully autonomous agents, then we need to have a brown team, which goes,
brown team.
Oh crap!
Oh no!
We're doomed. We're doomed. And that's basically their job, is to kind of document the ways in which we're doomed. So that's it. The brown team. I've coined it here.
Dang. 2001 Space Odyssey. Dave, you can't do that, Dave.
We can't do that,
That's the brown team.
That's
it's
the
how.
brown team.
Well, but the other thing I'll say, and then we should probably move on to other more interesting news. But the other thing I'll say is two things. One is, we were really in favor of IBM when they came out with their autonomous security. So it's a very similar thing, right? Agents that'll do it all for you. And of course, they're not really doing it all for you quite yet. Yeah. But we were very excited about that. And the last thing I'll say is startups beware, because when the behemoths come in and start edging you out, you either need to be acquired quickly to bolster, Microsoft's capabilities or pivot.
Some more news, Christina, and this is from EY, or Ernst & Young. Mentioned it at the beginning that C-suites are pivoting from AI adoption to unlocking value as escalating token costs trigger fiscal scrutiny. Now, that is a bit of a mouthful, but essentially, and I won't go into great detail, but it's an interesting survey, and the increasing tokenization of AI, the sort of pay for what you use, and the related costs have caused a lot of these organizations to reconsider their approach. Dan Diazio, who's the EY Global AI Consulting Leader, said, AI saves time is no longer a sufficient business case. And we've heard this before.
Really?
When costs are mounting and difficult to ascertain over the long run. Now, remember the dripping tap of cloud in the early days, particularly for public cloud. So a lot of companies are hitting the brakes rather than the accelerator, although there are many who are still going. But I think it's interesting that the cost of doing this is now starting to become much clearer. And you had a good point about this, the costs of AI versus the costs of people, right?
Right. Yeah, I brought it up, I guess yesterday, that we're seeing these quiet news stories come out about, well, not quiet news stories, but news stories coming out about quiet rehiring of the people who were laid off due to AI. Yeah. So it is that drip that you just mentioned about cloud. It's the pendulum went fully in one direction and now it's coming back. People will slow down AI usage due to the cost. Someone will figure out how to rationalize that and bring it to more of a center point. People will be rehired. AI will be used, but we're going to get to the midpoint, I think, sometime within 2027. So we should do a survey on that. Rory, what do you think?
I think that's a great idea. What else have we got then, Christina?
Yeah, so the big M&A that we mentioned at the beginning of the show, $1 billion deal, Cyera acquiring Oasis Security. I thought, holy Snickers, right? Yeah. Cyera says that it plans to unify identity and data security into the most comprehensive platform for securing AI. Well, Cyera does DSPM, and so they're a data security company, and so good for them. I think this is a great acquisition. They want to cover what data exists, how sensitive it is, who can reach it, who is authorized for access. And Oasis is going to bring in the NHI, the non-human identity. They say at the same scale, covering inventory, ownership, access, and control for every machine and agent identity. I think that's great. Now, whether it's going to be as hyperbolic as they say, who knows? But the payout is definitely hyperbolic.
Yeah. If you look at the reports that are coming in, is that the founders of Oasis, so Danny Brickman, Amit Zimmerman, who only launched the company about 4 years ago, are set for a $200 million plus payday. It's one of the largest cybersecurity acquisitions ever involving an Israeli startup. I mean, gee whiz.
That is huge. Now, we talked to one of them. I don't know if it was Danny or Amit. We talked to them 2 years ago at RSAC. And there's a quote that I'm just going to pull out of that meeting, which I loved. So I'll leave this with our listeners. The future of security is, quote, identity zoning across infrastructure islands. So as infrastructure becomes more decentralized, which it is, security will focus on managing the bridges, the identities between isolated islands of data. And so this requires, and this is the quote I love, this requires an octopus brain approach, a centralized policy layer that discovers and manages risk without being so deeply embedded in the infrastructure that it risks bringing down production if it fails. So whoever said that, thank you for that. I thought it was such a wonderful little chat we had at their booth at RSAC 2025. So we knew them when. The little engine that could, and now the biggest payout for their founders ever.
Yeah. Well, and we can see why they've got a number of common investors. They share them. So CyberStart, Sequoia Capital, and Accel. But there's big sums of money involved. So Oasis Security last year, I think it was earlier this year, so 2026, they were valued at approximately $700 million. Sierra valued at about $12 billion.
Yeah.
So, there's big sums of money involved here. And, good on them. That's a massive payout. And obviously, it's not just the two founders that are in line to have a big payout, but obviously they've got a whole bunch of employees there who will have been with them since the early days. So
and the investors.
Exactly.
It's always good to see a good exit. And but I also have to say that I will look to see the integration of Oasis as part of the exit. That I hope that Danny, Ahmet, some of the team are staying on. I hope that they will stay true to their mission with NHIs. Sometimes, acquisitions fold in technology and they are not used in the way that they were originally intended. But this seems like it's the right intention. Going with data plus identity is a natural progression, especially in the AI world.
Our special guest this week is Jim LaRoe, who's the CEO at Synfion. Hey, Jim, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Fine.
Yeah, we're super excited that you were able to come on with us, Jim. And I loved our conversation just off the recording here. We were talking about the background of Scottish and French alliances and the name LaRoe, that you have a French and Scottish background in your name. So that's cool. And Rory being in Edinburgh, and I also have some Scottish background. We're probably related. Who knows? So listen, we're excited to have this conversation, given your background, and I'm sure you'll lead us down the garden path here. We'll ask you the easy softball question and just see where we go. And we're always surprised by the answers. So what keeps you up at night, Jim?
A lot of things, Christina. The most relevant to the conversation is probably the fact that so many companies are really missing, the area that we're going to talk about today, and exposure that they've assumed, the risk profile that they're assuming by not acting on it. That's kind of a summary statement.
So I love that you say there's a lot of things keeping you up. And I think for all of us, there's a lot keeping us up. So tell us more about your summary statement and let us know how you're seeing the problem.
We've been in business for over 20 years. In 2018, we launched the cybersecurity operations program for the IoT endpoint, and really focused in on the printer endpoint, which is super prevalent, 20% of the network endpoints on almost everybody's network, and really outside of IT and information security, visibility and control. It's grown up in the print silo, where the manufacturers and procurement of the devices have really been more like an appliance than the servers that they have grown into. Now, in 2026, enter artificial intelligence. The message that we've been talking about for the past 7 years is really coming home. What we're doing is going around and trying to make folks problem aware, not just the risk associated with a printer or, it's a real big issue, especially today. And with the exponential growth of the cybercrime, and now AI enabled and state sponsored largely and funded as an ecosystem. Those kind of things are really highly prevalent in our thinking right now.
So one of the things I read on your LinkedIn, Jim, was, I love this quote that you had on there. I don't care about printers. And you basically, tell me about that, because you basically said that's a very expensive gamble.
It is. That's a really great point, because, Christina, that's our number one responded marketing piece right there. It's centering on, I don't care about printers, because think about it. Let's go back to when Symphion got introduced to the printer endpoint and the print silo. And then one of the printer OEMs called us up in about 2015 and said, "Hey, we've got this IT services company that we bought, and we'd like you to come in and do your thing for them." And then we saw that it's like a parallel alternative universe of the printer. And the manufacturers have all competed by making them more business enabling, more capable, where we call them endpoints, but they're really more like servers that belong in the glass house because of the capabilities that they have. But then we also saw that the managed print service industry, which is $20 billion a year in the United States, was managing to a default state of open. They were putting the devices on the network and not hardening them. They were using factory default passwords, things like that, so we came into it from, oh my gosh, look at this opportunity we have. The IoT operating systems where each manufacturer has a different flavor and they don't communicate with each other like your Windows devices do. We saw that and we didn't know it. We had been deep in IT and we didn't know about it. And that's kind of consistent with what we're seeing across the landscape in all industries, large, small companies, globally too. It's a challenge we have to make businesses aware of that right now. But the "I don't care" resonates. Most folks don't care about their printer until it's jamming on them and they need to do something about it.
It's kind of similar to the young folks not caring about privacy, right? They go on Instagram, they go on, Facebook, whatever, and they put everything out there and they don't realize that exposure in something that they are using every day, that they are dependent upon and that their social network is dependent upon, it could actually eat them alive. And so the printer, I think, is really interesting from the AI attack perspective, the AI risk perspective, because hey, it's just a dumb device. Well, it's not just a dumb device, number one. But even if it were just a dumb device, look what happened to Target back in 2014 with a POS system. There's still a way for the vulnerability to be exposed and for lateral movement to occur. And when you have AI agents going out there on behalf of the threat actors looking for any possible way in at a speed that we can't match, printers do matter, even if you think they're a dumb device, which again, they're not.
Yeah.
Really? You've got people attesting like your item 106 for SEC regulations where they're saying, we're all good for cybersecurity and our endpoints are all protected, but they're not paying attention to these because it's not visible to them. It hasn't resonated that they're still endpoints.
Short of going through a whole programmatic approach, what are some basics that our listeners can pay attention to with their printers? How can they think about this device being a server, being connected to the network, and use it in a way that is safer than pretending it's just a dumb appliance?
It really requires a programmatic approach to it to treat it like you would your other endpoints. What are they doing about their desktops and laptops and about their servers? And why not treat the IoT endpoint? It's not just printers, it's cameras and scanners and remote control power supplies, things like that are endpoints on the network. Why not treat them like you do your other endpoints with that same respect, that same, maybe if you're implementing zero trust or machine identity, why not treat those the same that you would those other, your main core endpoints? And largely there's two reasons why that hasn't happened. Because there's been a technology hurdle, because they have different operating systems across the brands and across even models inside the brands. And they also have fragmented ownership inside the business. So the ownership, has been with supply chain and procurement in most industries, large and small size businesses. The IT folks are not really aware of it. And then information security people, they own the risk, but they don't have budget or, they're not operational. It's a double whammy on those two things. You can do things like, say we're going to segment. The question is kind of like, what can we do to get by, Even segmenting the devices, you have to have an accurate inventory to do it. And you've got to make sure all the cows are in the corral there, at all times, or else you're risking exposure.
So here's what I take away from this, Jim, and I think this is really beneficial. you have to treat printers and any of your Internet of Things, any of those devices that are not typically in the IT or security operational landscape. You have to treat them like an endpoint, number one. Number two, you have to do your asset inventory, much like we tout over and over and over again with just assets across your entire environment. You have to know where they are. You have to do attack surface management, and printers and other IoT devices need to be included. Is that a fair statement? And
that is absolutely correct. But let me give you a caveat on that. It can't be I'm going to check it every year. It can't be I'm going to check it every 6 months. It can't be I'm going to check it every 3 months. That game is over now.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jim. This was interesting and sort of off the normal path for us. And so good for folks to hear about how they need to treat these devices that they might not think are that important, but can be a really big vulnerability. They need to treat them as endpoints. So thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Well, we should wrap the show then, Christina.
Yeah, we should.
What do we have on next week? Well, we're not so sure. Let's say the situation is fluid, I think is probably the best thing.
The situation is fluid.
We may have another special episode. We may not. We may have something else.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on next week. So stay tuned for a surprise episode, because even we will be surprised.
Yeah. Live on air. Oh,
live on air. What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, please get in touch. You can reach us by email directly. So you could do it personally. So Rory at richmondadvisorygroup.com or
Christina at richmondadvisory.com, richmondadvisorygroup.com. Or just general inquiries, info at richmondadvisorygroup.com. And don't be a spammer. We've gotten spam in the box and we just delete it. So just reach out if you want more information for reals.
Yeah, exactly, for reals. And on that note, thanks for listening, and we hope you can join us again next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.